Yes.
Let's bring in our next guest, Cynthia Fletcher.
All right.
Fischer.
Fischer. Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's okay.
Fischer.
Yeah.
Now, tell the people what you do, because this is serious and I don't want to mess it up.
Okay. Well, I'm the executive director of a brand new nonprofit in Visalia, California, called the California Holocaust Education and Resource Center. And what we're doing is we're providing a free trunk loaner program for teachers within all the California school systems. However, we're starting in the Central Valley. So we have curriculum notebooks for elementary school, which is 5th and 6th, which is just an introductory to the Holocaust, middle school curriculum notebooks, as well as senior high school curriculum notebooks. That has all the lesson plans that are geared to the books, the DVDs, the maps, the artifacts, and the display objects for the classroom. So the curriculum notebooks and the lesson plans are all geared to the materials that are collected in the trunk, and they're all age and grade appropriate. So those are going to be...
Who put all this together?
Actually, a variety of people have been working on it. It started with the Washington State Holocaust Education and Resource Center, and I've been adding different varieties on a theme. So far, the two of us are working on it.
I got the feeling that there's a lot of people that don't even know what the Holocaust was.
Right. Maybe so.
And I think a lot of this newer generation probably doesn't know about this atrocity. Right. So could you talk a little bit about that?
Okay. Well, the Holocaust took place during World War II, and it was the systematic and organized destruction of a particular group of people, the Jewish men, women, and children. 6 million perished in the Nazi Holocaust. But there were other groups of people that were also targeted. So the Jehovah's Witnesses were targeted, homosexuals were targeted.
By the Nazis?
By the Nazis,
okay.
Absolutely.
Homosexuals were targeted by the Nazis?
Homosexuals were murdered
Not
by the
just
Nazis.
Jewish.
No. Roman Catholics were targeted by the Polish Catholics were targeted by the Nazis, as well as all disabled people, because they didn't fit into the sort of the Aryan format of what people should look like. That was their ideology.
They were broken?
They
handicapped people?
They were subhuman. They were subhuman. Also, gypsies in Roma were also targeted, and so they were. First, they were persecuted all over Europe, and then they were moved to ghettos, and then they were sent to concentration or camps, slave labor camps, and then eventually killing camps. So. Anyway, the trunk is full of wonderful DVDs, books, maps, exhibits, and for teachers to use. It's kind of like a TV dinner, because a lot of the Central Valley here in California, our teachers really don't have the time to do the research to put together the overview of the Holocaust and to really have enough material to teach it. And it is mandated in the state of California to teach this.
Do you have schools using this now?
Yes, we do.
Here in the Central Valley?
Here in the Central Valley. We have our first trunk.
When you go to the schools, do they warm up to it fast, or are they kind of like, whoa,
very
that's a little
interested?
Heavy?
No, very interested in it. Of course, in the 5th and 6th grade, it's strictly an introduction to World War II and what took place. But in the middle school, and then particularly the senior high school as well as college, no, they're very, very interested in social justice and in human dignity and in being a good global citizen and in teaching tolerance, and not more than tolerance, acceptance of the diversity in America. So and we are quite a diverse nation. And so this trunk is full of the curriculum notebooks with the lesson plans. Makes it easy for the teachers. If they already have their own lesson plans, it's strictly enrichment. The DVDs and movies. I've been to Israel 5 times, so I've been to Yad Vashem, which is the Holocaust Museum in Jerusalem, and I've been collecting for about 15 years materials
what
from
was your
Yad
initial
Vashem.
interest in this? Are you a Jew?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. My parents are Jewish, as were my grandparents. My grandparents and my parents came to this country in 1923 from Holland. And so
they went to Holland to get out?
No, they were born in Holland and my grandfather in Belgium, and they came to America in 1923. So they survived the Holocaust because they weren't in Europe. However, my grandmother, and I don't know if you have experience like this, but back in the 50s and 60s, many grandparents lived within the family. My grandparents lived with us. So these weren't people that I didn't know. These were people I had breakfast, lunch, and dinner with. These were people who took care of us when my parents went out. We went on vacations together. It was a very tight-knit group. Well, my grandmother was one of 8 children from Holland, and 6 of them perished in Auschwitz. And, you know, this has really surprised me because my parents were not religious. My parents were more cultural Jewish people. They were, my father was an attorney and they wanted to be Americans is what they wanted to be. And so I think this has just, in my older years, I think it's genetic, and that I feel I have a responsibility because I grew up in Los Angeles, and many of my little friends in the neighborhoods that we used to play with, their parents and grandparents had numbers on the arm. And so they had survived the concentration camps. And so I feel like it's my responsibility, and I also have a great interest in education and in social justice and human dignity and in reducing prejudice and violence and crime. You know, we're trying to do that at the same time. So we have all of these materials. And, you know, the Jewish people are not the only people who have ever suffered a Holocaust. They're the Cambodians, the Sudanese, the Armenians lost 1,500,000 people in the early part of the 20th century. And so it's really persecution everywhere that can lead to violence and murder and horrible things happening. I have a chart. I don't know if you can show it, if it will be showed.
Let me see. You talk about it on
This is called the Pyramid of Hate, because people are not born hating. It starts out with prejudiced attitudes and scapegoating and put-downs that nobody speaks up against. And then that leads to acts of prejudice, of name-calling and social avoidance and social exclusion. And then that can lead to discrimination in housing and in jobs and in getting an education. And God forbid, it goes from there to violence. It can be verbal violence, it can be physical violence, including murder. And then when it becomes systemic, when laws are changed that persecute specific groups of people, that's when it can rise to the level of genocide. And it does. So it doesn't start out at the top. It starts at the bottom, that is unchallenged and uneducated. So in addition to that, I wanted to mention, if you don't mind holding this up, that we are supporting a Holocaust memorial project in Visalia. We are going to build a Holocaust memorial in Visalia out of 6 million buttons. So we are collecting buttons. We've been collecting for 2.5 years, and we are slightly over 3 million right now, so we still need almost
Who counts
another.
The buttons?
We all do. And so if you have my phone number, which is 308-1333, you can call me and either drop them off, or I will pick them up, or someone will pick them up, because we're still needing more buttons.
I know some people with some buttons.
That would be great. That would be fantastic.
Awesome.
So the other thing that we're doing to introduce the Holocaust Education and Resource Center is we are bringing an artist and scholar in residence to the Visalia area She will also come up to Fresno or go down to Bakersfield if she's invited. Her name is Susan Stein. She's a writer and playwright and actress, and she has written a play called Eddie Play. She's from New York, and just by the way, this play is about Eddie Sillisum, who is a woman who was having spiritual questions during the time of the Nazi occupation of Holland, Amsterdam in particular. And Eddie Hillisum was a Jewish woman, and she had to come to terms with the fact that her life was being threatened, and in fact she did end up in Auschwitz, in terms of her connection to God and her higher spiritual power. So this is a play that's being put on Friday night the 27th at Sycamore Valley Academy, which is a charter school on the corner of Caldwell and Road 68 in Visalia. And then on Saturday night, it's at St. Paul's School, which is on Goshen, just west of Acres. The tickets are very affordable. They're only $15 for adults, and then seniors and students are $10. But actually, I have a big chunk of tickets that have been sponsored. So if somebody cannot afford tickets, they could call me at the 308-1333 number, and I probably will have sponsored tickets. We're trying to gear this toward teachers, teachers of English, history, drama, religious studies. There are, religious studies classes at COS and probably at Fresno State where they have comparative religions. This is an educational program, and the trunks are going to be free to all California teachers. The Eddie Play is a one-woman play about the Holocaust on Friday and Saturday night, the 27th and 28th, and we hope to meet as many people as possible and to reach out to the community and to be a big part of the community, providing educational enrichment.
And bring your buttons when you go.
Thank you.
Right?
That's right.
Okay, Cynthia, thank you very much
Thank
for coming
you.
by. It's such a nice thing you're doing.
Thank you.
All right, we're going to take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back on The Buzz. Stick around.